Well, good morning once again, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to go ahead and kick this webinar off. My name is Ryan Parker. I'm an optometrist that practices in the southern part of Oklahoma, and it's going to be my distinct pleasure to talk with you folks today about a product that I love and use every day in my practice called Xperio UV. A couple things before we begin. If you can, please place your cell phones or your office phones on mute just so we can avoid any interference. The system does try to mute all the phones so there's as little as possible, but every once in a while one kind of sneaks through. So if you would take a second and just mute whatever you have, that would be great. And like I alluded to earlier, we know your time is very valuable, and I really appreciate you taking the time today to learn about this product. And this webinar is going to be 30 minutes long, and we will answer all questions. I've already had some that have been asked before the webinar as we were logging on, and we will answer all those questions. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to do it via email. We want you to get the information this morning. We know some people will have some questions, but please feel free and email any questions that you have to xperiouv@essilor.usa.com. Once again, that is xperiouv@essilor.usa.com, and we will definitely reply to all of those questions. Well, here's what we're going to talk about for the next 30 minutes today. We are going to talk about how our patients' visual needs are different indoors compared to outside. And we are going to talk about how Xperio UV is the complete Sunwear solution to address all of the needs that our patient has when they're outside. And then I think one of the most important parts of this presentation is how we can have that conversation with our patients about how important UV protection is and how Xperio UV can deliver everything that they need when they're outside. And once again, as questions arise, the email address is xperiouv@essilor.usa.com. Let's go ahead and get started. The first part today, we're going to talk about how the visual needs of our patients are different from inside to outside. And intuitively, we all know this. You know, every patient that walks into any of our practices across the nation, we want to offer them the best visual solution inside possible. That's what our jobs are as eye care providers. We want to take our patients and make them see as clearly and effectively as they possibly can while they're inside. And we do that with great quality lenses, great quality products like Crizal, like polycarbonate, high index, Trivex, all those things that we use. We try to get the maximum amount of light into the visual system that's needed and eliminate all those reflections so our patients can have great vision and great comfort. And that's what all of us do on a day in and day out basis. One thing that I really think that as a profession we're not doing a great job of is having that Sunwear conversation, because we all know that our patients' visual needs are different inside to outside. And I think a lot of us do a great job of having the indoor conversation question that, hey, this is what we're going to do on your everyday pair of glasses. But how can we take our level of care to that whole new level? And I think the Sunwear conversation is one way we can do that. We instinctively know that one pair of glasses really does not cut it for all of our patients' needs. And I know many of us on this call have multiple pairs of glasses, but because we know our needs are different inside to outside, but we need to have that same conversation with our patients. And one of the things that I really like to talk about with my colleagues is doing things different from our competition, because I know a lot of us, myself included, in my town that I practice, there's a lot of other practices down the street. So I like to try to figure out what can I do a little different from my conversation, and the Sunwear conversation is one way that we can do that. So here's some interesting figures. 86% of our patients that walk in our practices know that they need to protect their skin from sun damage, and we know that as well. You know, we use hats, we use long sleeve shirts, we use sun tan lotion when we're outside, all kinds of different things that we do to protect our skin from sun damage. But very interestingly enough, that same patient subset, only 6% of them know that they need to protect their eyes from the sun, and that's pretty alarming. The good news is they already understand sun damage because of what it does to the skin. So if we explain it very similarly, It's the same thing for the eyes. And this is where we have a great area to educate our patient base. I know you're doing something right now for your skin protection. What about your eyes? Because second to the skin, the eyes are the most likely organ system to be damaged by sun exposure. So it's a great educational opportunity for our patients. So we know that patients need both sun protection, and they need sun protection not only on the front side of the lens, but what about the back side of the lens? Well, let's talk about the front for just a little bit. We know about sun protection on the front part of the lens, and that's why we select certain materials for certain patients. Most of us know out there that polycarbonate and above will block 100% of UVA and UVB. That's just solely based on the properties of the lens material. CR39 plastic does not block 100% of UVA and UVB. So if you've ever wondered about those gas station sunglasses that you walk in, they're $3, and you see that wonderful 100% UVA and UVB, that solely is based on the material, and that's pretty common learning as far as our profession is concerned. So we have options when we start talking about sunwear. We can either tint the lens, or we can make the lens polarized. And I know most of us that are out there probably have sunglasses in both categories, just regular tinted and polarized. And I think most of us understand that polarized lenses do a better job of delivering great vision to our patients. And the reason for that is we reach for sunglasses because we want to cut down bright light and glare. And so to do that with tinted lenses, to cut that glare down, we have to get the lenses so dark that it cuts our contrast sensitivity. So polarized lenses can cut that glare down and preserve contrast sensitivity. In fact, in a recent study that was done, they took test subjects and had them wear tinted lenses versus polarized lenses and measured their reaction time when it was subjected to a stoplight. And what they found was pretty alarming, that by wearing polarized lenses, a patient could react 0.33 seconds faster to that stoplight stimulus. And what that means when you're driving at 50 miles an hour, that's 27 feet of increased stopping distance. So not only do they help your vision, but they're safer for your patients to wear. And as I talk to my patients about sunglasses, I really stress polarization of the lens. It's going to deliver great glare protection, but also really preserve the vision for our patients. What about the back side of the lens? This is kind of some new learning for us in this profession. We have found out now that the lens not only reflects visible light off the back surface, but also ultraviolet light off the back surface. And so think about what happens to the lens when you're outside. You have ultraviolet light that is reflecting off the back of the lens, and where's it going to go? Right back into our patient's visual system. The shape of that lens acts like a magnifying glass. So it's going to focus that reflected light right back onto the eye. When we talk to our patients about sunwear, what we have to lead with is that we know that their visual needs are different outside as compared to inside. We have to identify that, hey, we know this happens. Our patients know that it's different, but we have to say, hey, we know there's different, and there's a different solution for that. We have to talk about how important UV protection is when they're selecting what type of sunwear that they're going to purchase. Now remember, they already know how important sunwear is because they know what happens to the skin. So talk about that same thing with the eye. And it's not just the front side of the lens anymore, ladies and gentlemen. We can do more than we've been able to do in the past. We can now protect the front side of the lens and now the back side of the lens to offer the maximum UV protection possible. So just to summarize here, remember, our patients' visual needs are different inside to outside. And by selecting a polarized lens, we can give our patients the best contrast possible when they're outside as compared to tinted lenses. And remember, we need to think about UV protection not only on the front side of the lens, but also don't forget that back side of the lens. Extremely important. Well then, how does Xperio UV fit into all these things that our patients need? When you leave this webinar today, the one thing that I want you to go home with is think about Xperio UV as being the complete Sunwear solution. It's an all-in-one bundled product that does everything that our patients need when they're outside. Well, what do our patients want? And fortunately, there's been lots of research that has been done on what our patients want when they're outside, and they want just what we want. They want it all. They want great vision. They want to cut the glare down, keep those colors nice and vibrant, great UV protection, and those lenses better be easy to clean and really scratch resistant. So our patients and ourselves, when we select a Sunwear, this is what we're thinking in the back of our mind that we want. And Xperio UV meets those needs. It is a simple, complete, polarized lens solution that is going to give our patients the best vision and protection we can possibly have. Well, how then does this product differ from things that are on the market? Well, it delivers that clear, sharp vision that we're after. And I'm going to show you how it eliminates all the glare that's out there. There are different types of glare that our patients are subjected to, and this product cuts it all out. It also offers the maximum UV protection. And we're going to talk about a concept called ESPF here in a few slides. And when I refer to that, that is just like SPF for suntan lotion. It is how many times am I better protected by wearing this product than not wearing any product at all. And we actually can calculate ESPF for everyday lenses and Sunwear lenses now. It also offers the best scratch resistant and is extremely easy to keep clean. Let's think for just a little bit about when our patients are outside and really truly how important proper Sunwear protection is. Because if you put your patient in a tinted lens outside, whether it be tinted or just polarized, think what happens to the visual system. Number one, the pupil behind that lens, because less light is coming in, becomes dilated. And also when we're outside, we don't squint when we have sunglasses on. And by doing those two things, we've opened up the visual system to incoming light. Well, unfortunately, we've opened up the visual system to incoming ultraviolet light as well. So if that pupil is dilated and that brow is not being squinted, if we have any reflected or transmitted UV light in the visual system, it's going to get in extremely easy. And that's how we have damage to the visual system when we're outside. So a proper pair of sunglasses better protect against UV light being transmitted through the front part of the lens, which we do that by selecting the proper material, polycarbonate and above. But remember, UV light will strike the back side of the lens and get reflected into the visual system. So that has to be absorbed, not reflected. How does that happen? And ladies and gentlemen, I promise to not spend the next 10 minutes talking about every individual layer of Xperio UV. It's an awesome product, and it is very technologically advanced. But here's what it does. On the front side of the lens, that ultraviolet light comes into the lens and it gets reflected back out, away from the visual system. So this product is protecting the front side of the lens. Now what about that back side of the lens? What happens to the UV light as it comes in? Through new technology, it is absorbed on the back side of the lens. It is canceled out. Both visible and ultraviolet reflections are canceled, therefore they're not being reflected back into the visual system. I've lectured a lot on UV exposure to the visual system and different products that are offered for that. So as I lecture across the country, I get asked a lot of the same questions, and I want to deal with some of them right now. A lot of times I say, hey Ryan, UV protection, it's already there if we do polycarbonate, so why are we talking about this backside reflection? Well, here's the truth about that. Yes, you are protected by selecting polycarbonate through transmission through the front part of the lens. And so if we do our ESPF calculations, if you just take a regular polarized lens with no backside AR protection, you get an ESPF of 15 to 20, which is not bad. That's 15 to 20 times better than no protection at all. But with a new ESPF that we're learning, ESPF of 15 to 20 is good for indoor wear. It doesn't cut it for outdoor wear. And the fact is, Xperio UV lens, which is polarized and has backside UV protection bundled into one, will provide an ESPF of 50 plus. And so when I tell my patients this product is 50 times more protection than not wearing any protection at all, They understand that. They say, wow, I need that for my visual system. So remember, Xperio UV has an ESPF of 50 plus, which is unmatched on the market today. Well, then to follow there, the next question I always get asked, and these are great questions. I love them. It says, well, why can't I add a standard AR on the back of a polarized poly lens and get that all-in-one protection? I'll just do it myself. I will a la carte it. Well, the problem with doing a standard no-glare lens is you actually make a bad situation worse, because look what happens to this ESPF. It drops down to 2 to 5. And you may be asking, why does that happen? Well, the new learning tells us that if you use a standard no-glare, which a lot of them on the market are, you actually can increase those UV reflections we've already talked about by up to 50%. So you're putting more UV into the visual system than you were before that standard no glare was on the back. So you have to look for a no glare lens that has UV protection in it as well. And there's very few products on the market that do that, but Xperio UV is one of them. So if you take a regular polypolarized lens and put just a standard backside no glare, you're actually almost like wearing nothing at all. Let's talk about how Xperio UV eliminates all 4 kinds of glare, because believe it or not, there's different types of glare out there. We know a lot of these. Blinding glare, that's the one that when you're exposed to it and you remove the glare stimulus, you're blinded for a little while, whether it be 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Disabling glare is the kind that causes kind of a veiling on the retina. And a great example there is when you've been inside a dark movie theater and you go outside, you can see, but you can't see clearly. That's disabling glare. Discomforting glare is the kind that when you're on your bicycle and you're riding and a car passes you going the opposite direction and that sunlight is reflected off their windshield, that just makes you want to look away for a little bit, which is not necessarily a safe thing when you're doing certain sports. And most polarized lenses that are out there today eliminate those 3 kinds of glare. But what about distracting glare? That's the kind of glare when you invest your money in polarized sunglasses and there's no backside AR and you put them on and are excited about them, and then all of a sudden you kind of look around and you see every time you blink your eyelashes move, and then you see your eyeball actually tracking back and forth. Those are reflections from visible light, and they're being reflected off of things behind you superimposed in front of you, and that's distracting glare or ghost images. The only way to fix that is with a backside no glare. But remember what we've already talked about. If you put a standard backside no glare on that product, you've increased UV reflections. So Xperio UV does it all. It eliminates all 4 types of glare, including distracting glare, but also protects from UV reflection. Well, now that we've had this conversation with our patients and they're excited about this product and they get this product, and if we don't do our job on protecting them and they come back in 2 weeks with scratches, we haven't done our job. I know, speaking from myself and other people that I talk to, we don't do a good job with our sunglasses, taking care of them. We can't expect our patients to do any different than what we do. I do such a great job for about 2 or 3 days when I get a new pair of sunglasses. They're in the nice case. They come in. They're in the nice little hard case in my car. Then a few days after that, I look, and they're in my briefcase. They're in the passenger seat of my car. My kids have them on. So we know we're tough on sunglasses. So I'm happy to tell you that Xperio UV is 3 times more scratch resistant than anything on the competition market today. And last but not least, if the sunglasses are not easy to keep clean, our patients won't wear them. Because think about what happens with Sunwear. We're outside. We're going to be sweating. We may have suntan lotion on. We may be at the beach. We may be at the golf course. And so they're going to have to be easy to clean. And thankfully, Xperio UV is powered by Crizal technology. I hope most of you out there have had a chance to experience Crizal. Crizal Avance, very easy to keep clean, and this lens is no different from that. Well, then how do we have, in the last few minutes that we have today, how do we have that conversation with our patients? And I would not ask anyone on this webinar today to do anything I wouldn't do to my patients. I know our time is extremely valuable with our patients. We have to see numerous patients a day, and we don't have time to spend 30 minutes talking about Sunwear to our patients. There's lots of things we have to talk about. So how do we present this in a clear and concise manner so we get our point across and educate our patients? Well, thankfully, it's a pretty easy process to do. There are a few things that we need to be able to do to have this conversation. Number one, we have to be early and often with this message. We have to hit our patients before they get into our office, while they're in our office, and when they're on their way out of the office. And we need to be ready before the patient gets there to have this conversation. And this isn't a message that I want you to whisper to your patients and be shy about. This is something that our patients need to know about and be proud that you have a solution that you can deliver to them that is going to handle one of their problems. So how do we do this early and often? Well, most of us have websites. Start there. Patients go to our websites all the time to find information. So have some information on there about ultraviolet damage and protection and how you can help your patients with that issue. Also, if you have on-hold messages in your office, this is a great place to put a blurb about ultraviolet protection. Also, when your person takes the phone call to schedule that appointment, have them tell your patients, hey, bring in all of your prescription eyewear, including your sunglasses, so they can start thinking about the need for sunglasses. Have your pre-tester ask the questions that they need to ask about outdoor activities. And then the physicians that are on the phone today, talk about it in the exam room. Prescribe this product. Do not recommend. I think prescribing is completely the way to go. So we have to be prepared here. When I go see different offices and I see everyone does a good job about talking about sunwear, sun protection, then they get out to the dispensary, we've selected the frame, selected the great product, and then we pull the calculator out. And we get smoke starts coming out of the calculator. Patients don't like that. They start having buyer's remorse right there. So know your prices. Have them memorized for clear single vision and Xperio UV with single vision. Have your favorite progressive clear price memorized. And then talk about Xperio UV progressive. The great part about this in my practice, and I hope your practice will do this too, we use a lab that offers a pair 50 discount. So I think that is really important. Most of the Xperio UV that comes out of my office is a pair 50 discount, meaning they've already purchased a pair and then they get 50% off the second pair. And if you pick the right lab, your lab will give you that savings so you can pass it along to the patient. And something that I also do, I know a lot of us take many managed care plans, and when we have that patient that comes into our office and their prescription doesn't change much and they ask, hey doc, did I change very much? And you took an oath to your patients and you say, no, you really didn't change much. You're really seeing very well out of your everyday glasses. I take it a step further. I say, but did you know that your vision insurance has some coverage for prescription sunwear? And they go, oh, I had no idea about that. And so we do a lot of Xperio UV sales with insurance plans where they didn't change from the year before. So they already have their everyday pair, and now we can deliver them a pair of sunglasses. And now they have both, and they really appreciate that. But be prepared. Know your products and know your pricing. And I think it's extremely important here to educate our patients. And I would not tell any of my colleagues that are out there today to become salesmen and women, because that is not our job. But ladies and gentlemen, our job as doctors and as opticians is to educate our patients. They come to our office with a list of problems. And that may be sunwear, that may be the everyday wear, it could be all kinds of things. And our job is to figure out what's going on, and then we provide the solution to that problem. And that's what makes our field so exciting. So don't feel bad about providing two prescriptions here. I like to write a primary RX and an outdoor RX because I know not one pair of glasses covers all their visual needs. And then have a great handoff. Work together as a team and make sure and have a proper handoff to the patient where the doctor has already prescribed in the exam room the products, and then you're going to go out to your highly trained optician and you're going to repeat exactly what the patient's already heard, because the more the patient hears it, the more comfortable they are. So have a good handoff. However that system works for you, make sure you fine-tune it. And opticians that are out there on the phone today, be proud about offering two pair of glasses to your patient. Use that pair 50 discount if your lab provides that. And it's an exciting thing. Hey, you got an everyday great pair here. What about a pair of sunglasses? I saw that you're outside a lot. We can offer you a 50% savings on that. And you are doing everything you possibly can to make sure that patient's vision is met under all kinds of conditions. And then don't forget to use the products that are out there already. There are lots of products available. Talk to your lab reps. Get Xperio UV POP in your office. Get those things that are out there because Essilor has done a nice job of marketing direct to the consumer. So they're going to see this. They're going to open Golf Digest. They're going to turn on cable TV. They're going to see these ads, and they're going to come in and ask you about it. So if you have similar ads in your office, it raises your level of professionalism to a whole new level. So get those ads. Have them out there so that conversation can happen. And one of the most exciting things for me, because I love my dispensary. I love walking out in my dispensary. I like seeing what frames we have, sunglasses versus everyday lens. And one of the things that I've been guilty of is I kind of pigeonhole products, and I'm sure a lot of you do as well. You walk in your dispensary, you look there, and you see the Oakleys, the Revo, the Costas, the Maui Gems, and you think, oh, that's my Sunwear. So I have 10 to 15% Sunwear compared to the rest of my everyday pair of glasses. But with Xperio UV, ladies and gentlemen, this is exciting. We can think outside of the box. And every frame that we have in our inventory today can be turned into a great pair of polarized sunglasses that provides the best vision outside and the maximum UV protection. So now you have quadrupled your sunglass inventory. And so opticians that are on the phone today, you have a lot more selections of different Sunwear. In fact, if you've ever had that patient that falls in love with two frames and they can't decide, great. Pick one for your everyday pair, and now you've got a great pair for your Sunwear. And I can promise you, this lens delivers great vision, and your patients will definitely appreciate it. And remember, the last point is I think there is a huge difference between selling a pair and providing a great possible solution. So remember, there's a difference there. We're not selling to our patients at all. We are educating them and then letting them make the informed decision. One of the things that kind of keeps me up at night, I always think about my competition because like I told you, we're in a relatively small town in southern Oklahoma. I have a lot of other optometrists in the same town that I'm in. So my biggest fear is if I don't do my job at the end of the day and talk to my patients about everything that they may or may not want with their visual system, and they go to dinner that night and meet someone else that went to a different eye doctor, and they said, hey, my doctor told me about this great new product called Xperio UV, and I got those when I'm outside, and my patient's going, man, Dr. Parker didn't talk to me about that. I haven't done my job, so I want to make sure that I cover all the bases and let my patients know this is all the options you have for all the things that you need, and then you've given them the power to make the decision they want to. If they don't select that product, that's fine. You can go to sleep at night knowing you still did the best job you could possibly do on educating your patients about the needs for their visual system. So I want to thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to spend a little bit of time with me learning about Xperio UV. And please, if you have questions as this webinar went on, send them to us at xperiouv@essilorusa.com. I hope everyone has a great rest of the morning, and I wish you great success with this product. Have a wonderful day, and I thank you very much.